growing up was great, and it wasn't even I didn't really blame anybody. I blamed myself all the time. I would try to find people to blame, but it would come back to me and be like, wait, that's my issue. I can't I can't blame other people's actions for the way I react. So when someone says something to you, you're going to react in any way, and it's my choice to make that reaction. I can't blame somebody for the way they are, and I can't ask somebody to change the way they are for me to make me happy. We have to make ourselves happy. And it's very tough. I don't know what real happiness even is still, but I know being alive and making people smile and laugh, that makes me happy.
Hello, this is Voice Your Mind podcast from Listening. Welcome to our show where we talk about the unheard who have no one to share about their insecurities and past trauma, or even having difficulty opening up to people when feeling down. On this show, we will be discussing everything about mental health, depression, and suicide. We listening are just ordinary people who are or were in your similar state and are currently encouraging ourselves and learning to improve our state of mind. So here we are taking a step towards motivating you to get better with us every day of the week. So without any further delay, let's get started with the episode.
Hello and welcome to the show. Our today's guest is McCarthy, and he is the host of 20 Minutes Podcast. And today our main topic is to actually discuss about firstly learn about him, and then discuss about different ways of actually overcoming our depression or suicidal thoughts. And so I'm very sure our today's conversation will be very interesting. Conversation or discussion will be very interesting, and a short telling a bit about his podcast, which is 20 minutes podcast. It is also based on mental health. It is focused on mental health and humor, insight, and personal stories. And it's roughly 20 minutes. That's why it is called 20 minutes podcast. So saying all that, we are starting right now. Let's break the stigma related to mental health. So how are you doing today?
I'm doing good, man. Thank you for having me on. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great.
What time is it over there right now?
It is 10:10 at the night.
Oh, geez. It's 12 o'clock in the afternoon here. How's the future looking over there? Is it good?
It seems good. It seems good at the moment. As of now, I'm not sure what will happen.
Fantastic. But yeah, thank you for having me on, man. It's a pleasure.
Okay. So let's get started with our discussion. So firstly, so tell me about your past traumas, or that would be everything. Like tell me your story and any other traumas, or I don't know why trauma sounds so bad, but yeah,
It
any other
does, doesn't
trauma.
it?
It does for some reason. Like,
But traumas are good though to have. I think it's just a weird word. We should try to find a different word to use. But yeah, I do like that. But yeah, my childhood was just like middle class American. I had troubles learning as a young kid because I had seizures. So I think that had a issue with my mind growing up. I was always curious. I was always a different way of thinking. High school is when I realized I was kind of different. Like my thoughts weren't the same as everybody else. I'm like, wait, these are really messed up thoughts, and no one else has them. Then college is when I started to really realize that I'm like, oh, like there's an issue. And then I would just kind of push it away with like doing drugs and alcohol and just like suppressing it. And like growing up for me, like I'm not that old, I'm 35, but growing up, you always just have that mentality of like, you're a man, like swallow it, just like don't show it, man up. And a lot of people do that, and they still do that. And it's tough for a guy to be vulnerable and be out there. So a lot of things led to like my moment. I was always depressed here and there, and I was that guy in school, and you'd see me, I'd be like a clown with the mask on. I'd be like, hey, I'm so happy. But then like I'd go home and take it off and just be crying the whole time. Um, but yeah, that was pretty much my story leading up to kind of where I am now. And then my suicide attempt in 2019 was like my wake up call and kind of like my turning moment of how I am here today talking with you, my friend.
okay, that was a very brief, but straight like a very long period of time.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so I actually have seen people exactly in a situation which are like not yeah, there I had guests which who I had one guest who tried to commit suicide 23 times.
Yeah.
That's
That's
crazy.
sad.
Yeah, that's sad. Uh, in a way, that's sad and that's good in a way. Like she's better now, but still, is
Yep.
still but still is in one of that is still in that state. Is in the overcoming state. So that's bad in a way, or that's good in a way.
Yeah, fighting over that is very tough. And a lot of people just have the suicidal ideation too, where they think about it all the time. I still think about it. I'll be driving down the street. I'm like, oh, today would be a lot easier if I just rolled off the highway and I and I just ended it. You know what I mean? So yeah, there's definitely it's kind of like the appetizer. Like, oh, I'll just have a couple nibbles of this thought, but then like some people get to that main course and they just like say, screw it, like I'm gonna do it. So, power to anybody that gets through it on the good end.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Uh, so before like at the suicide, like talking about suicide, let's start from the start, where where you said like you were just like a regular middle class American. So so uh, growing up in a regular state. So how did your life affected your mental health?
My life was like good growing up. It was like because I had friends. Like I had a mother that like raised me really well. I had nothing to complain about, but I was like just an angsty teen still. Like anybody's like that. Like oh, it can be better. That can be better, and I, and it was fine. Like my life growing up was great, and it wasn't even. I didn't really blame anybody. I blamed myself all the time. I would try to find people to blame, but it would come back to me and be like, wait, that's my issue. I can't. I can't blame other people's actions for the way I react. So when someone says something to you, you're going to react in any way, and it's my choice to make that reaction. I can't blame somebody for the way they are, and I can't ask somebody to change the way they are for me to make me happy. We have to make ourselves happy, and it's very tough. I don't know what real happiness even is still, but I know being alive and making people smile and laugh that makes me happy, and so I think friends, family, growing up is what kept me going, because if it, like my world outside of my brain is pretty awesome. It's like my brain has foggy glasses and I kind of can't see what's great around me, and I think I don't deserve a lot of it, and I think I'm just in it at the right place at the right time. But saying confidently like, oh, my life is awesome is very awkward to say, isn't it? Like no one walks around like you sound like a jerk being like, yeah, I'm pretty awesome. Everyone's gonna be like, no, you're not. But deep down, we all have great lives that we live, like you included.
Okay, so it's a weird thing. Go out like I say this out loud that yeah, I'm awesome. My life is awesome. So I say it out loud. So that's something I'm not ashamed about. Not a bit.
Good.
Like not even a bit ashamed about. Okay, so why did you had this thought that saying this out loud that my life is awesome or I am doing awesome is bad or like it's like showing arrogance. So why did you even have this thought?
That's a good question. I just never felt I was good enough. I think I was always that kid in school that didn't really get A's and B's. I was a C's and D's, get degrees type of guy. I just never was like the guy that got to that level. Like I would always need extra help because I'm diagnosed with ADHD, bipolar type 2, and anxiety. So my ADHD really constricted me to like do really well. So I just never felt that confidence in me. And I knew how to make people laugh, and I was confident in that. So I just never wanted to be like sounded like I was cocky, because there's a difference between cocky and confidence, obviously, but there's that fine line that we need to walk on, so we're not like one or the other. And I try to do that, and some days I do. Like I take my medicine, I'm like, wow, I'm feeling great today. Life is great. But you do it in a good way that it motivates you. You're like, oh, my life is great. You're not walking around the street stopping some guy and be like, hey, how's your life? Because mine's great. You know what I mean? Like I know what you're doing. I wish I do that sometimes. Not I don't go up to people and be like, hey, my life's great. But I like being around people like you that promote that, and I like that. I'm envious of that. I wish I could do that all the time. And like with my mind and my depression and stuff, it's hard to do, but you got to keep reminding yourself that it does get better.
Okay, so this is something to note down. Is okay. Say that my life is great and awesome. However, don't stop people randomly on the street and say, "Hey, my life is great and awesome. How's yours?" Like that is a bit weird. In a
that'd be
way.
super weird.
Okay, just imagine the situation where you're walking down the street and you see 5 people and you run up to them and say, "Hey, my life is awesome. How yours?"
I might try
They
that
they
later. That'd be super weird. I'll report back, and I'll probably come back with a bunch of bruises on my face.
Okay, so okay, that's a good aid. Do take make an insurance just before doing that. Like
Yeah,
that would be a safe thing to do. Okay,
100%.
absolutely. Okay, moving on to that. So confidence is actually a big thing. So what did you say? Let's talk about ADHD and bipolar. So what is
Yeah.
ADHD, and what is a bipolar type 2, or like bipolar in general? What is it?
So bipolar is this type 1 and type 2, and to like explain it in like a decent way for people that don't know. So bipolar 1 and 2 are very similar, but bipolar 1 lasts longer. Where you get into these mood swings where it is mania and depression. Mania is looks like false happiness and joyfulness. Like you have overconfidence, you think of all these like irrational ideas that you think you can get done. So when I'm manic, I will make promises that I won't keep. I will make up ideas that we're gonna do. Like I'd be like, oh, I'm gonna go build a doghouse today, and then I realize like I don't even know how to use a tool, let alone do I even own a dog. Like you just make up these like big scenarios that you want to do. So with me being bipolar type 2, that only lasts like probably like a couple hours, maybe a day. And then depression will hit where like I get hits waves of depression pretty quickly and my moods go back and forth. The thing with bipolar type 1 people is that could last like a week. They could be in a hypomanic state all week and then they can just be crashing down with depression. So mine, like when someone's on life support and it goes like beep, beep. So like mine sometimes just goes up and down like crazy because like my mood can't be stabilized unless I take my medication, which I take a thing called Lamictal, which is like a mood stabilizer. So like picture that beep beep machine. It's going crazy. It kind of caps that off. I'm not cured. I'll never be cured, and I'm okay with that, and I understand it. But at least I can manage it. So yeah, bipolar type 2. I like to explain myself like I'm the Incredible Hulk, where I'm Bruce Banner, but I can't control it. So sometimes I will feel like I'm the smartest guy and doing things, and then something bad will happen, and I will get so mad and just anger. Like I won't smash things, but I'm definitely mentally a different person. So that's like the best way I try to describe it. So like I always feel for the Incredible Hulk when I watch him. I'm like, yeah, I get it. I get his whole deal. And then with ADHD, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, it used to be called ADD, and that's like I guess it doesn't go by that anymore. So like a lot of people will just use that. Just like in a casual conversation when they can't pay attention, like, oh, I have ADD. I'm like, well, you really don't because you're not even diagnosed. So I always had it in school. As you can tell if anyone's watching this or you talking to me, I have a tough time making eye contact with people. And I feel like I'm disrespecting people, but I'm not. I'm looking at a bunch of different things at once. I want to get everything done. I'm thinking about the future right now. I'm thinking about what I'm going to eat. I'm thinking about when I'm going to take my dogs out. Like I'm doing a million things in my head right now, but I'm still engaged to you. So to go another Marvel route, ADHD, I feel like I'm Doctor Strange. I feel like I'm doing all these different outcomes of like all these possibilities that could happen right now. Like my Wi-Fi might go down, your Wi-Fi might go down, my computer might blow up. You can think about like all these crazy things in your mind, and I like visualize them. And then there's all these other things with it too. It's like I am not making good eye contact, but that doesn't mean I'm not disrespecting you. So it's tough at like job interviews and stuff. And it's like, do I tell somebody I have ADHD? It's like, you don't have to tell work, but it's like, do I want to tell them so they know why I'm a weirdo? You know what I mean? But both of these like mental health disorders, you can kind of spin them into positives in a way. Like ADHD, I'm very creative. I have like a creative mind. I'm very curious about things. I like to look at things outside the box. Like if there's a route somewhere and I know it gets me from point A to point B, I still kind of want to know what it's like to go over to point C before I get to that point, just to see what it would be like. Bipolar type 2 kind of stinks to have, especially when you have a good mood and then you don't really have a good mood or you go to a bad mood. It's like when you go to work and I'm like the class clown. I make everyone laugh. I'm in a good mood. So when I have that wave of depression, people are like, oh, what's wrong? I'm like, I'm like, I'm just having a bad day. So it's like that even gets me more angry. And then like you just have to like hold it in and not show it because I'm at work. Um, but yeah, juggling those two at the same time can be a lot. And there's days I'm like, I just want to give up, not even like in life, but like I'll be like, I don't want to do anything. I want to delete my podcast. I want to like sell the house. Like I just always just want to make it worse for myself for no reason whatsoever.
Okay, a few questions actually popped in my mind while you're
Yeah.
saying those. First up, so they what's actually the difference between, like, there are people who are very ambitious, right? Who
Yeah.
are very ambitious and they're constantly learning things and what do you call it, like at like working on things simply.
Yep.
Okay, so the way do you like describe that to me, like by that I mean uh, bipolar type 2, like the way you describe in the hype stage, so you become very motivated and stuff for short period, or in case of type 1 it is a longer period, can be weeks or months. I'm not sure if
Yeah.
it's
So
months.
bipolar.
Yeah, so in that case it's a longer period of time. Okay, so how can someone actually understand if they have bipolar or not, in case or if they're very ambitious? So in my case, I'm very ambitious. I'm not sure if I have it or not. I don't know because I don't feel it.
Right. It's definitely tough. Obviously, you have to be diagnosed by a professional. There might be signs that that could be symptoms that you know, like if you're really easy aggravated, go back and forth easily. If you're not like eating properly, if not sleeping properly, like those are things. If there's something out there that's affecting your mindset and sleep is so important. If you're not getting enough sleep, you will know. If I don't get enough sleep and I maybe forget to take my medication, I am a monster. Like I need my sleep. Like everyone needs a good sleep, and I need my medication. But there'll be things where like there's like little things too that's it's super funny that like comes with like being bipolar. There's like a thing. It's like doing risky behaviors, and one of those is like you have a gambling problem. And like I like to gamble, don't get me wrong. Like sometimes I'll wake up like I'm going to the casino, I'm playing blackjack, and like you might make a big bet, and like that's part of like someone's bipolar brain, which is like a negative, where it's like risky behaviors. Or like some people have risky behaviors sexually, and they'll like call up like hookers and strippers and like have sex with them, like unprotected sex. Like that's part of their brain. So if like you're kind of noticing that type of stuff, like oh my god, like seeing those symptoms, and if you line up to like a lot of those symptoms, like not eating, doing promiscuous things, being agitated about the littlest things, self-awareness is a tough thing to learn, but when you learn it, it makes life a lot easier and you don't make excuses as much. But I would just suggest anybody that has like just even going on Google, but like don't diagnose yourself, because I know a lot of people will go on like WebMD and be like, oh, I got a scratch on my arm, must mean I'm dying. But always like seek the professional. You know what I mean? Just definitely seek professionals, but always check like always just check symptoms and talk to other people. Like I've met a lot of friends on doing my podcast, and we stay in contact. And one of the women had the same type of bipolar with me, and I was explaining it to her. She was like, I've never talked to anybody about this, and the way you're explaining it and I feel the same way. So it's good to find like a community like that, and you can find that anywhere. Like go on, like even if someone doesn't have a close relative or friend to talk to, there's like countless spaces online that people will help you out.
Okay, so this is something we have to do, like
Yeah.
getting people aware of those spaces, because people don't know about it. Like there
Yeah.
are spaces. That's one thing. The thing is, the way you describe bipolar, a few things is similar to me, but I still don't think I have bipolar or not. I don't think that I have bipolar, like because there are some down periods, but like that those are not long. Like so is bipolar, how does the bipolar actually feel? So for me sometimes it feels like not bipolar, like my mind. So it feels
Mhm.
like two personalities are battling each other. Sometimes it feels.
Yeah. I kind of know what you're explaining. I think when I think of the battling two personas, I think of more schizophrenia, where you actually think you're two different people. So like, I know you're not saying that, but it's like I feel like that is a feeling that people with bipolar do have, where they do feel like they're two different type of people. And I think it's the same. It's like two people with the same brain almost, where like they know what's going on. It's like the movie Get Out. Have you seen the movie Get Out? Where they're okay. So in the movie, he's like brainwashed, but he's in this person's body, and he can see everything going on, but he can't control it. That's pretty much like what it feels like when I'm in different states, where like I know what I'm doing and I can't stop doing it. I can't stop feeling this way. It's tough to calm myself down. You have to find like little things that like kind of bring you back down to earth. But yeah, it does. I know what you're saying. It's like I do kind of feel like two different people, but it doesn't like switch as quickly as it would if you had like schizophrenia. I feel like. But yeah, how's the mental health care system where you are? Is there like somebody you can go to and talk to, or have you gone to try to get diagnosed on it?
I have not actually. So I've talked with a lot of people, like a lot of people, as in I in the process of discovering myself. So I'm in the process, and I'm like in the process for years, but like deeply in the process for months now. Months, as in I think it started deeply since last year or so. Yeah. So in the process, I talked with a lot of people, not professional mental health or psychologists, mental health psychologists or psychiatrists. Like I haven't talked with them about like specifically my state, how I'm doing or not. So I've talked with psychiatrists or psychologists on podcast.
Yeah.
Like you're not a professional, but there are professionals who were in it. So I never mentioned it how it feels, but they have said like it is a normal state. It does not mean that you will have schizophrenia if you have that, because many people have that. Like many people have that who are perfectly fine.
Yeah, I think it's too. It's like anyone can have mood swings, and they can be like, "Oh, I think I have bipolar." So it's kind of like the same thing when people think they have OCD because they organize things. It's like, no, you might have tendencies of OCD, but you don't have OCD. I think that comes with like everything else with like bipolar, where people think they have the mood swings. Like, oh, you're being bipolar. It's like, no, I'm just having a bad friggin' day. So yeah, it takes a lot. I think what you should do if you don't have it, if you don't already do, you should make a journal every day of like what you're feeling and your thoughts. So when that day comes, you can be like, oh, this is my mood on December 10th, but then on December 11th, I felt like this. So at least you have something to go back on. If you ever do go to like an official appointment, you can like kind of give them a DNA of where you come.
Okay, so I have to try that. So I never did journaling so far, like in my life. I wrote stuff, but not in a way of journaling, in the aim that how I'm feeling or not. Like that's a different.
Yeah, I feel like that. I feel like it's a good idea for everybody. Like I'll do it sometimes, and just to keep myself like, don't forget this, because even if like I don't know what type of phone you have, but all of our phones have like a notepad on it. You like don't have to sit there and like write like a journal, like you're like, dear diary, like today I fell down. Dear diary, I went up to a homeless guy and asked him how his day was, and I said my day was great. But yeah, that's not a bad idea, man. And even doing the podcast, you have visual evidence of what you've already talked about. So there's definitely like a track of your records here.
Yeah, so I'm pretty I'm not sure if I have any mental health disorders or like any mental health issues. I'm not sure about it because it's pretty consistent. It's pretty consistent on the positive side.
Now let me ask you, what makes you interested in mental health? What makes you start this podcast and want to talk to everybody?
Okay.
Now I'm interviewing you, pal. Now you got to answer my questions. This is my turn. But what you're doing is a great thing, man. Regardless of what your answer is, it's a great thing that you're doing. I'm just super curious that you're somebody that's trying to find themselves in a positive way and that stuff. So yeah, I'm super curious about your story, man.
Okay, this is actually, I'm not sure if this is interesting or not yet. Yet, as of now, I don't know yet. Okay, so I started my business in 2020, just the day after we had Actually, the day before on 16th, we had lockdown since 17th of March,
Yeah.
and on 16th I started my one of my businesses, and I didn't know a shit. I didn't know a shit. It's obvious. It's obvious. It's a first time thing.
Yeah.
So I had to talk to a lot of people, and I didn't know a number of people. So like every single other business person, I went to a state where I was actually internally suffering because there was no support,
Yeah.
and there was like not enough people were responding. Like there was not a positive or anyone who would consistently this was in different periods of time. I had a mentor in time. I had multiple mentors at a time, but I'm saying like if you feel in a state where you feel there is no hope. Okay, like I felt that state, and because of familial issues and familial pressures, and also I had to move to another city, like not and I call it a village, but yeah, so like from my place where I'm currently based in Dhaka, I had to move to Rajshahi. Then especially during that time, I moved to Rajshahi in October to March of this year, like last year October to this year March.
Okay.
And during that period, I also didn't had a friend there. I didn't go
Yeah.
outside, so there were no one to talk with. And so during that time, so I had suicidal thoughts, like not on just that period, but when I was in Rajshahi, but also before that. So I just I sat and like thought, reflected on what happens in the past, like not just in a day. So I had suicidal thoughts, so like a lot of suicide, like in a consistent way, like a day after day, day in and day out. Not just when I was in Rajshahi, but when I was in Dhaka. I'm currently in Dhaka, but as well. So this state, I fell in this state multiple times periodically. This is cycle, like this is a cycle there. And there were a number of things that I was running from. I'm not gonna mention which are as of now yet as of yet. Okay, so there were a number of things that there are a number of hard conversations that I need to have that I was running from. There are number of things that were happening that I was running from. So after reflecting on this thing, I realized that there are other people who are in the same state as me. Cause although if nothing was working out in that time, not gonna say like things are like going over the roof right now, but still like learning from it. So in that process, or like at that time, I already had the realization after reading a lot of books that people are similar and people have similar state.
Yeah.
Like they are very similar, like, and different stages they behave it's almost like in the same way, like almost in the same way, and they have these cycles and stuff. Okay, so two things you can do at the time: either you die, that's it, like, or two, you can help those people, right, who are suffering. So that is when I started reading books. I procrastinated. That's happened. So I didn't do anything when I was in Rajshahi. So I came in Dhaka. Came in Dhaka on March, and after a few weeks, maybe in March or the beginning of April, I joined a program which is called Program of Awareness 360. Which is called YDP, or like a YDP program, which was a 15-week program for educating youth about different things, like educating youth about like funding and stuff, uh, running a non-profit fundraising and stuff. So it was a 15-week program, once a week for 15 weeks. I joined it, and on May, uh, so at the end of the program, so they had one thing that if you want to be a part of that, uh, a fellow, sorry, if you want to be a fellow of Awareness 360, which is pretty renowned right now, then you have to start a project, like a project which is part of Awareness 360. So at that time, I thought of this. Hey, there are people. I I personally face this state. So what can be a project I can do? Okay, great. So this is something that I can do. People are suffering from insecurities and stuff. I literally I had this thing in it. There are two things I can work on. Is like insecurities of people, or like the injustice happening right now. These two things.
Yeah.
Okay, these are the two things that I can work right now. So I thought like did this. So there are two things, right? So let's name the project I as in like the insecurities and injustice. Like that's it. There is no other thing or meaning behind it. Then after a period of time, like it was just a few days. It was not a very long time, but just a few days. Within a few days, I thought a lot about it and realized no, I will not go under any organization to work on this. So that's when I decided to just plan things out a bit. I didn't had any planning process, any prior planning going on before that.
Yeah.
Okay, so I planned things out and just started reaching out to people and like posting on places about, hey, I want to work on this. I want to help people share their insecurities. Do you want to join the team?
Yeah.
Okay. Great. So I gather a number of people. A lot of people joined. A lot of people. And then this got started. And what's this? I changed the name of the project I to Listen In. So now listening started with this aim, that a single aim to help people share their insecurities and create a safe place to do that.
That's awesome. I like what you're doing, man. I like kind of like almost the same story I had starting. I just wanted to help other people and talk with other people because we're all people forget that they're not alone.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I had to be flexible with the things we were doing, because why do I say that? Like this knowledge is also from books. I always be strict with the aim and flexible with the methods you do. Like every single one says that. So that's why I started. I'm in Bangladesh, so the language is Bangla here. Okay, so I started 2 podcasts right now. So 2 will be launched today or tomorrow. Today is that's what I'm trying to do. So like today is 21st here.
Yeah.
21st of October. Yeah. So today or tomorrow. So I'm trying to do it today. So 2 podcasts will be launched from today, and weekly posts are going for like I don't know, like August 12th is the day when we launch as a non-profit, and it will stay a non-profit like forever. I don't know.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's great, man.
Yeah, that's it. And in the future, like trying to create a forum and stuff, like trying to create a forum because I want to make it a 2-way thing where people will be, 1, they are sharing their stories, 2, they other people who have similar stories are like can help them.
Yeah.
Because people are similar. Cause they're similar. See, it's a simple process that I went through, you went through. You know how things work. I know how things work, and we both are figuring things out.
Yeah, that's the game plan. Look where we are now. We're meeting each other.
Yeah, see?
It's working. The whole thing's working.
See? Yeah, that's all the story that there is.
That's perfect. I like that story. It's a good thing, man. You're doing a great thing.
Yeah, seriously. So now let's jump back to your story. So I've said a lot.
Yeah, sure. It's all right.
Okay. Okay. So about your, so we talked about bipolar and ADHD. So growing up, you said just after getting into adulthood, you realize no that the things are not working correctly. Like the things are wrong. Things are wrong. Before 2019, you already knew it. So tell me about that state.
What, like when I was like in college, that area, or like getting to that point?
Yeah, college
Yeah.
or when you realize that things are wrong before 2019.
Yeah, I knew. So like in high school, probably junior, senior year, 2003, 2004 is when I realized I had like undiagnosed ADHD just by the way I was acting, and it wasn't really like diagnosed back then. It was tough to be diagnosed with the drugs they would use. So everyone back then was just like, oh, that's just the way he is. Like he's just like, oh, like that's how all boys are. They're just like off the wall, zany or whatever. So then like I just like when you get out of high school, it's like you like life hits you in the face, and like I wasn't really ready for it. Like living on my own and dealing with finances and just like real stress with like relationships, money, jobs, like everything. So around then I was like, yeah, life kind of like sucks. Like it's hard and it's not easy, and you got to figure things out on your own. And that's how I used to do it. And I would just like find voids to fill it all in. And like again, I would like be drinking and just doing like anything in the mid 20s would like someone in their mid 20s would do is just party and party. But then there comes a time you're like, man, I got to like figure out my life. I can either go down this road or this road. And I started to get better jobs, and I still wasn't finding my happiness. So I would go to different therapists at first. I was on different meds, and like I wasn't even going to therapists at that point. Like my own doctor was just prescribing me meds, and he wasn't really like it was like my primary doctor, and it's like he wasn't trained to deal with like mental health issues. He's trained to like if I have like a hurt elbow or something. You know what I mean? So the mental health care system out here is very frustrating, and it's a long road to battle. So I see why a lot of people give up and don't want to go do it. And I was always kind of against it all. And then once like things got really bad, that's when I finally went and got it. I think everybody should do therapy, even if it's once a year, and they don't think they have mental health issues, because it's always good to talk to somebody that is not associated with you in your life. It's like showing somebody your movie. Like you give them your movie and you're like, oh, what do you think of this? Like, what do you think of this scene? Like, oh, well, I would have like opened up your brain in this way, or like thought about this. It's like no one's going to solve your problems, but when you say things out loud, like you say like, oh, my life is awesome. When you say that to somebody else and they can react to it and say like, hey, my life sucks. What do you think? And they're like, well, let's try to fix this X, Y, Z. So yeah, that was kind of like my whole journey. It was just kind of like battling and just like kind of stuffing everything down until it overflowed.
Okay, so where are you based off? You're in based off US, right? Or Canada, sorry.
I know, I'm in Boston, Massachusetts, USA.
Yeah. Okay, you're in based in USA. So, so if you think that a mental health state like care is bad there, it's fucked up here.
Yeah, I bet. I
Nothing.
can only
There's
imagine.
nothing. Like there's literally nothing. We have a population of 200 million, like almost all, actually more than that, and
Yeah.
there are just 500 psychologists and psychiatrists combined. Like 500, like not more than that.
Yeah, that's not good math.
Yeah, that's a word, like crazy bad, man. Crazy bad. Like,
Yeah.
okay. So so that was one of the motivations. I wouldn't say that was a motivation at that time, but I realized this was a fact. So
Yeah. Oh yeah.
and this is just about this country, and there are other countries where the system is like a lot worse than this. Right.
Oh yeah. It's tough. It's tough for everybody. That's very unfortunate to hear.
It is tough for everybody. Like that's the issue. Like that's a major issue, and you and I are working on it. That's the most awesome thing. So
Yep.
we have actually run out of time today. That's really bad thing. Okay, so we have to end shortly. But before ending, so tell me
Yep.
shortly about. I should have like kept time for it, but tell me shortly about the incident that happened in 2016, 2019. Sorry. So you tried to like commit suicide, and what changed actually? What changes did you like? What steps did you take to actually make yourself better?
Yeah, so quickly in that moment that I was gonna do it, my everyone has those like a little incidents when they're about to kill themselves. I feel like where like someone knocks on the door or someone calls you. I was standing there and my cat like woke me up. Like she like hit my legs and I was like, oh, and I was like, oh, I need to feed you. Like I was more worried about my cat going like starving to death than me. So then I started to pull myself out and realize what was going on. So my job knew what was up. My wife knew what was up. So I went and got help. And then once I started getting on meds and therapy is when I opened up to friends finally and family when I was like so embarrassed to be like so vulnerable about what happened and why I'm so weak. And just the support system by everybody I had was fantastic. It made me feel great. They told me to wear it. It was awesome. So like I actually got a tattoo on my chest of it's a half smiley face, half happy face, smiley and sad face. So to show that I have bipolar. So I'm not afraid to wear it and show people that's what makes me. So just having a support system really kept me going and just positive things in life. I would always just reach out to friends and practice what I preach, being like, oh, I would love for someone to reach out to me, and I would do the same on my end. But yeah, I'm just so thankful for medication, therapy, family, and friends to keeping me somewhat sane.
Okay, that's really great, and that's really good. As in, like, good you are alive. That's the most important thing,
Thank you.
right?
Thanks, brother.
Yeah. Okay, so we have run out of time. We could have like talked lot more, and I know like we could have like talk a lot more. Okay,
Yeah.
so this was Tim McCarthy. She is a host of 20 Minutes podcast, and the podcast is also focused on mental health. And so he actually talks a lot, like in a humorous way, and so I'm pretty sure the people who will listen to this podcast will love that podcast as well. So that will be those are like 20-minute podcasts, 20-minute episodes. So you will in have a good return on
Get
investment
it?
on your time.
Yeah. If people that don't really like podcasts that much, it's very quick. 10 minutes, Tuesdays and Thursdays. Come get a laugh about me being depressed. It's great.
Yeah, so that's about it for today. And this was your host Mahmoud, and we don't have actually anything else to say. Signing off. Bye.
And that's the end of today's episode. I know taking action is quite a hard job to do, so I hope the advice and insights we got today will help you to take the leap of faith and pursue your dreams. You can share your story with us through the first link in the description box, and don't forget to subscribe and leave a review on the Apple Podcast. We will come back with another episode. Till then, keep healing, learning, and growing. Thank you.